How do I lead my startup? The most important person in any startup is you, the CEO. That's why a large part of an investor's decision is their assessment of you as a leader. In today's video, I'll share with you the 10 skills you need to master to be a successful leader of your startup. And in my one final thought segment, I'll share the surprising thing you don't need to be a successful leader as a CEO. I hope you like it. Hi, I'm Brett. On my channel, I help early stage startup CEOs like you raise money and grow your startup. So if this sounds like you, then hit the subscribe button and the bell and get notified every time I release a new video. Let's get started. And let's start with skill number one. Number one, to lead, you need people to follow you. It seems obvious, and it is obvious, but the foundation of successful leadership is that people have to buy into your vision of where you are going. There's a long list of people you need to convince. You have to convince your co-founders. You have to convince investors. You have to convince employees. You have to convince customers. You have to convince vendors too. And here's the thing. Every one of these groups is going to be skeptical of what you are trying to do. They may not buy in immediately. And that's your first challenge. To make matters worse, not everyone you talk to is going to buy in, as I said. And that's normal. In fact, they may never buy in. And that's actually a good thing because you only want the true believers to follow you on your journey. And this leads directly to number two on my list. Number two, constant reinforcement of your vision. So, you've been able to build an initial founding team. That's great. However, your work isn't done. Great leaders are constantly talking about their vision for their company. In fact, just about every chance you have, you'll want to be talking about your vision, which is the company's vision. Now, I'm not saying you should do this so much that your team gets sick of hearing it. I am saying you'll find yourself naturally talking about the company's vision. The reinforcement of the vision is healthy because it keeps everyone knowing exactly what the company stands for and where it's going. For example, I was meeting with the management of one of our distributors, Future Electronics in Montreal. They were giving us a tour of their facilities. Every person we met with gave us the exact same message about what Future was doing. It was quite impressive. I asked France, the executive we were working with, about the consistency, and he said, yes, it's something we teach. And this is one of the tells of a well-run company. Now, let's move to number three on our list. Number three, you have to stand for something. And by definition, when you stand for something, you also stand against other things. When I worked at Maxim Integrated Products, we had a very strict criteria for any new product to be released. If anything didn't meet the minimum standards on the checklist, the product wasn't released to production. The VP of Quality, Ken, was the gatekeeper. It was a real gate too. There were product announcements that were delayed until the quality levels were met. After leaving Maxim, I worked for their direct competitor, Micrel. In contrast, Micrel had no minimum standards that a product had to meet to be released to production. Maxim stood for high quality, and Micrel stood for nothing. Interestingly enough, Maxim's gross margins were almost 70% compared to the mid 50% margins of Micrel. investors rewarded Maxim with a much higher price to sales multiple than Micrel. So yes, don't be afraid to say no to the things you don't want your company to stand for. And you'll be rewarded too. Let's move to number 4 on my list. Number 4, you should be vulnerable. If you want people to follow you, then you're going to want to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is a foundational piece of great leadership. Think about it. As the CEO, you are attempting to build relationships with your team. Trust is at the heart of any great relationship. And allowing yourself to be vulnerable builds trust. You can do this by sharing the mistakes you make with your team. After all, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. Trust me on that one. So why not share them? You're going to miss goals too. You're going to have major problems hit you at the worst time possible. Instead of hiding these problems, share them with your team by being transparent. You'll be rewarded. I've shared this story before. We were transparent with our team through the life of our company. Shortly before closing our Series B funding, one of our investors, Raul, wanted to shut down the company. I proposed to the board that we have every employee go to minimum wage so we could close our funding that would extend our runway. The board agreed. I expected when we told our team that we would lose about 1/3 of our staff. Instead, the team applauded the action and no one quit. Nobody. Let's move to number 5 on my list. Number 5, your emotional state becomes the team's emotional state. In other words, your team will take their cue from you. Your team is watching everything you do. For example, after a company update meeting, my co-founder and VP of Engineering, Jeroen, came into my office. He told me that someone on his team was worried because I frowned when I was talking about our financial situation. I didn't even remember frowning. In fact, I was laughing about it with him. But the point is that your team watches everything you do, and they will attach meaning, right or wrong, to everything you do too. Steady at the wheel should be your mantra. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. This leads to my next point, number 6 on my list. Number 6, you want to encourage dissent. And then, once you decide, everyone needs to march in the same direction. Vulnerability is about showing your strength. And what better way to show your strength than to encourage dissenting views? Let's go back to the contrast between Maxim and Micrel. Maxim's founding CEO, Jack Gifford, wanted to hear opinions that were different than his. Then debate would ensue, and a decision would be made. Micrel's CEO, Ray Zinn, didn't want to hear different opinions. The result was Zinn and Micrel, by definition, were unaware of their blind spots. My advice is, you want to encourage debate just like Gifford did. Then, once a decision is made, everyone needs to accept the decision and, even if they disagree, implement that decision. This leads directly to number 7 on my list. Number 7, you have to trust your team to make good decisions. You want to push as many decisions as you can down in the organization. There are 2 great benefits to you and the company that you get by doing this. First, your team takes on more responsibility, which allows them to grow. Second, you're relieved of doing tasks that others in the company can do. Your team might make different decisions than you would. By the way, sometimes these decisions will be better than your decisions. And your team will be able to learn from their mistakes when they screw up. Next, let's move to number 8 on my list. Number 8, you want your team to act like they own the company. Truth be told, your team does own the company. You've given them stock options after all, or stock, so they should think like owners. However, this is easier said than done. It's really hard to get your team, even your co-founders, to act in the company's best interest, not in their own best interest. For example, one of my co-founders, Randy, wanted to spend $300,000 on an ERP system, that's an enterprise resource planning system, that we would need for at least 4 years. Randy, who had over 20 years of operations experience, knew we didn't need the system either. However, there he was pitching it to me. I rejected the request. Looking back, it's clear I failed in making sure Randy was thinking like an owner. All I had to ask him was, is spending $300,000 on an ERP system the best use of our money? The answer was obviously no. Now, let's move to number 9 on my list. Number 9, stick to your vision. The best companies and the best CEOs never waver. They remain true to their vision. The CEO of Next Silicon, Elon, a company I have been working with since its founding, commented today about how their vision hasn't changed at all. And he's right. Their vision is exactly the same as it was 9 years ago when he started. A large part of their success is that, despite a lot of pressure to adjust, they've stayed the course. That's how you win. Finally, let's move to number 10 on my list. Number 10, you need to be thinking at least 3 steps ahead. Momentum is a crazy thing. It will feel like it took you forever to get to $1 million a year in revenue. Yet, getting to 10 million happens in the blink of an eye from $1 million. And $100 million happens quickly from $10 million too. The point is that you need to be asking yourself the tough questions now about what your company needs to be at $10 million in revenue or $100 million in revenue. You get the idea. What does your team look like? Who needs to be replaced? Who needs to be promoted? When do you need to add a VP of sales? What new technology do you need? How much money do you need, and when do you need to raise it? You need to have the answers to these questions today so you can stay ahead. Now, if this content is resonating with you, then please hit the like button right now. One final thought. Charisma is way overrated. Repeat after me. There is no correlation between charisma and being a strong leader. If anything, I've seen too many CEOs to count confuse charisma with having a massive ego. It's much more important for you to be true to who you are. In other words, be authentic. That's what your team is looking for. Authenticity means you are vulnerable. Authenticity means you're emotionally present for your team. Authenticity means you stand for something, and that's leadership. That's what your team wants. The second you try to be something that you're not is when you'll fail as a leader and as CEO. Now, I have 2 more things for you today. First, my free startup pitch deck template. It has all the slides you need to develop an awesome pitch deck. Click the link below to get yours for free. Second, join my free group of startup CEOs, Zero to Pitch. It's a community for startup CEOs focused on growing their companies and raising funding for their companies. Click the link below to join. Finally, click the subscribe button to get notified every time I release a new video. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Thanks for watching today. Take care. Bye.